So another weekend of Championship football has just taken place. Let's discuss on this. What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today it is my Championship review on what went on in this Championship weekend. A lot of crazy results has taken place. A very unpredictable weekend overall. If you guys got a correct score, your comment will be on the screen right now. Fair play to any of you that did get a correct score. I got 0 correct scores. I thought I turned my form around in midweek, getting 3 correct Championship scores, but I'm right back down to earth with a big fat 0, not even a correct Premier League score. This is what the Lexus Hall of Fame looks like now. As always, if you guys want to be in the Lexus Hall of Fame, make sure you comment your predictions down below, and in the second half of this video, you guys will have another chance to get your predictions into the Lexus Hall of Fame, as we'll be predicting the midweek Championship fixtures as well. But if you guys like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It is tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really make my day. And to increase my popularity, please share my channel as well. It would really be appreciated. But without any further ado, let's go through the drama that unfolded in this weekend's games. So we'll start off with Friday's game, Watford and Derby, and it ended 2-1 to Watford. Watford doing pretty well right now. They've got 3 wins in a row, and something's just clicking for Watford right now. They just seem to be improving their performances. And what's really impressed me actually is the recent development and link-up play between Firmino and Ismaila Sarr. And they were heavily involved in linking up for their first goal. It was Will Hughes actually who started the attack, winning the ball back from Jason Knight, giving the ball to Firmino. Firmino gave the ball to Sarr, who managed to run through that defence pretty easily in my opinion. His cross comes in, a bit unfortunate for Wisdom, but it was João Pedro that managed to get a tap in that made it 1-0 to Watford. And then Watford very quickly scored a second goal, and it was Will Hughes who was creator for the first goal. He scored the second one, the first goal, and actually the first game he has actually managed to play against his former club as well. It was a very neatly taken strike. João Pedro did try to steal it from him, but it is Will Hughes' goal that made it 2-0. Although Derby, you could argue, should have had a goal just before half-time. A fantastically delivered corner by Nathan Byrne, and it looked like Colin Kazim-Richards got a pretty fair goal, but apparently there was a foul on the goalkeeper, so the goal was disallowed. And I dare say, I don't agree with that decision whatsoever. I thought it should have been a goal, and it would have been an entirely different game if Derby did get that goal. Although Derby did get that goal, but it was pretty late in the second half. It was from a throw-in, and then a dangerous cross from Nathan Byrne managed to allow William Troost-Ekong to turn the ball in his own net. That made it 2-1. And Derby continued to press. Nathan Byrne had a corner which was deflected off the crossbar, and Buchmann had to push it out as well. But apart from that, that is how the game ended. It's disappointing for Derby because they had a great run of form with 5 wins and 6. They're still 19th place and are 5 points above the relegation zone. So Derby, as long as they can carry on getting consistent wins, I think Derby will be okay from relegation. As with Watford, what an unbelievable week it's been for them. 3rd place in the table. I tell you what, if Watford can continue their good run of form, Watford could be an outside contender in managing to get automatic promotion. And then the wheel seems to be falling off the Brentford Football Club as they slump to their 3rd defeat in a row, as Coventry, a team who have not won in their last 5 games, manages to win against Brentford. It was 2-0, and I tell you what, from minute 1, Coventry were absolutely brilliant. Mark Robins changed a few things tactically. He managed to have 2 strikers up front, with Biamu and Walker being up front, and it was really effective. I tell you what, from minute 1, Coventry's high press really got to Brentford, and they just couldn't really get a rhythm. Biamu wins the ball off him, Henry catches him, which causes a penalty, a definite penalty in my opinion. Tyler Walker steps up, not a great penalty, but poor from Raya. It squirms under him, where with better goalkeeping, he would have made a very easy save, but that made it 1-0. And David Raya once again poor in the second goal. He plays out from the back, Callum O'Hare wins it back, and then he gives it to Tyler Walker, who does fantastically well to keep the control, and he scores a very confident strike past David Raya, making it 2-0. Tyler Walker's first brace for Coventry this season as well. Brentford just really were poor. They didn't really start testing Coventry in the final 15 minutes when Coventry were allowed to sit back a little bit. It was definitely the worst I've seen Brentford play this season. They were all over the place at times. And Coventry, I think, probably should have scored a couple more goals with the opportunities that they had. Following this, Coventry are 20th place right now, 5 points away from the relegation zone. This definitely gives them a little bit of a lift, following that they were 5 games without a win. Definitely gives them a lot more optimism that they can survive in this championship season. As with Brentford right now, they're still currently in second, but only just though. They're now joint on points with Watford as well. So Brentford definitely need to start picking up performances, otherwise they definitely will lose touch in these promotion places. And then Bristol City just simply cannot win for no love or money at the moment. It's their 7th defeat in a row, following a 1-0 home defeat against Barnsley. Whereas with Barnsley, that is now 5 games unbeaten for Barnsley. They are doing fantastically well, and they were definitely the better side in this game. Pretty much from minute one, Barnsley were very, very comfortable. And if it wasn't for Bristol City actually being quite tight at the back at times, Barnsley could have definitely scored more. What was concerning on Bristol City's part was how little they tested Barnsley. There was only 1 shot on target. In fact, only 1 shot at all in this whole entire game, which was Famara Jeju's shot, which was straight at the keeper. Bristol City probably should have taken the lead. There was a mix-up in the back between Anderson and the keeper, and then if Palmer literally just made a better decision, then Bristol City probably could have benefited from that. But Barnsley continued to test Bristol City's defence, and eventually the goal was rewarded by a substitute, Carlton Morris. It was a corner that just simply wasn't defended by Bristol City. They switched off, and the fact they didn't clear it, Carlton Morris only had to do a simple tap-in that made it 1-0 to Barnsley. 4-0 win for Barnsley. They're now 10th place in the table, and I tell you what, with their good run of form right now, with their winning streak, you can't rule Barnsley out. I think definitely Barnsley could be an outside chance of getting into that top 6. They're going to have to fight with the likes of Cardiff, Middlesbrough and Stoke in getting to this place. It's going to be a very interesting competition. As for Bristol City, they're 15th place right now with 7 defeats in a row. No wins in 2021 so far for Bristol City. They're definitely going to have to fix their form as soon as they can. Otherwise, if this carries on for 2 or 3 more games, you could easily see Bristol City in a relegation battle for the amount of points that the bottom clubs are picking up right now. So Bristol City definitely need to pick up the points as soon as they can. I've been hearing that they've been linked with Nigel Pearson taking over as their manager. I'll be interested to see if that is confirmed by the time I upload this video. And then Cardiff are just doing unbelievably well under Mick McCarthy. 5 wins in a row, the largest winning streak in the whole championship, with a 4-0 thumping of Preston North End. Now, what was really evident is that Preston cannot set themselves well in the beginning part of games. 56 seconds before the first whistle, a long throw comes in from Cardiff, and Jason Story fouls Sean Morrison, earning Cardiff a penalty. Kiefer Moore steps up, making it 1-0 to Cardiff. Nothing really else happens in that half. Second half, 36 seconds from that, Cardiff get their second. Harry Wilson wins the ball back from Ben Whiteman, gives the ball to Josh Murphy, shooting very confidently past Iverson. That made it 2-0. Now for the controversy. My goodness me. Honestly, nothing went Preston's way. They won a penalty, which was a definite penalty for me, with Harry Wilson fouling Anthony Gordon in the box. Paul Gallagher stepped up doing his trademark penalty, and he missed, with Phillips, the substitute Cardiff goalkeeper, making a save. But Aidan Flynn fouled Paul Gallagher. So Preston got a second penalty, a second chance to get a consolation goal. Ched Evans stepped up and he missed that one. Phillips made a second penalty save in the space of 1 minute, which is incredible. And following this, Cardiff punished Preston. They scored a third from Marlon Pack. It was a header from Kiefer Moore, which was saved by Iverson, but Pack got the rebound. And then it turned to 4, where Liam Lindsay, who was at fault from that third goal, he was definitely at fault from this fourth goal, from a dreadful back pass, which was collected by Mark Harris, making it 4-0 to Cardiff. Cardiff seem to not be slowing down anytime soon. They're 7th place right now. Closed the gap of Bournemouth for the fact that Bournemouth lost this weekend as well. Preston just seems to be in low man's land at the moment, and they're definitely struggling with form. Back-to-back defeats now. I just don't know what Preston are going to achieve this season. It's probably just going to be a random mid-table position. I don't really see this squad getting relegated. But when you look at this, they're not too far away from those relegation-threatened teams. So maybe Preston, another team that need to be a bit careful. And then to undoubtedly the result of the weekend. What an unbelievable result this is. Huddersfield 4, Swansea 1. And I remember saying in my score predictions video, if Huddersfield beat Swansea, it's a typical championship result. And this was exactly what happened. I even knew from when Fraser Campbell scored, I thought, okay, this is going to be good for Huddersfield now. Fraser Campbell got the first goal in the 22nd minute. It was Pippa that managed to find Fraser Campbell. That made it 1-0 to Huddersfield. Just before half-time, Conor Hourihane scored an equaliser from a free kick. His 4th goal in 5 games. Conor Hourihane's in incredible form. Now, in terms of half-time tactics, I don't know what Carlos Corberán said to that squad, because it would have been a huge blow for Huddersfield to concede that late first half goal. But they approached that second half and ran riot. They literally had a quick 3-goal rampage to end Swansea's chances of winning. And this is to a Swansea side that don't concede many goals. They conceded under 20 goals before this game. Lewis O'Brien got the first goal. A really neat effort from him. Freddie Woodman took a bit of time to react, but I don't think he could see it from the sea of players that were in the way. Then Dwayne Holmes with a quick double. The first one being from a free kick that wasn't dealt with. It fell to Holmes. And then for 4-1, undoubtedly the best goal in the game. A brilliant overlap from Lowe, picking out Holmes, running forward with so much confidence, and bang, top right corner, making it 4-1 to the Terriers. An unbelievable result that season, in a pretty good position now in terms of the championship table. They're 7 points away from the relegation zone now, definitely a much better position. As for Swansea, you can't feel that this is an opportunity missed for them following that Brentford lost this weekend. They definitely could have made up a bit of ground there. And following that Watford won as well, they're now behind Watford in the table. I mean, this was a clueless performance, a bit similar to Brentford, just a very out of character performance, and Swansea need to pick themselves up as soon as they can. And then to a game I won't spend too much time talking about, Millwall 0, Wycombe 0. Very few chances in this game. I say Millwall had definitely more chances than Wycombe had, but you could argue Wycombe did have a penalty appeal ruled out with Onodima getting fouled, but I didn't think it was a penalty looking at the replays of that. It was a typical game where Millwall were really frustrated by Wycombe defensively. They definitely had more of the ball and they had more opportunities, but Wycombe at the same time did match them in terms of managing to craft out opportunities. But just the lack of quality from both sides, especially as a strike pairing, was really, really poor. But I'll definitely say David Stockdale, the Wycombe goalkeeper, definitely had the more challenging saves in terms of the 2 goalkeepers in the pitch. So Millwall, I would say, will be a bit more disappointed that they didn't manage to get 3 points in this game. Wycombe, I mean, this doesn't really help them. It leaves them on 20 points and just cut adrift a little bit. As with Millwall, it extends their unbeaten run to 8 games now, so they'll definitely be feeling encouraged that Millwall are starting to climb up the table. And then Norwich are now 7 points clear of everyone else in the championship with a 1-0 victory over Rotherham. And I tell you what, it was a very tight scoreline for a very apparent reason. Rotherham at times really did scare Norwich actually. Ben Wiles had a shot that came off the crossbar, and they did have a goal disallowed before Norwich managed to score their goal as well. But for the goal that Norwich did score was a fantastic bit of effort from Emiliano Buendia, finding Timo Pukki, managing to run past everyone else, managed to shoot the ball under the goalkeeper. That made it 1-0. And Norwich did have a load of chances to try and kill the game off, especially in that first half. In the second half, it was a lot more even as Rotherham were encouraged that there was only a 1-goal margin within it. But Norwich did well ultimately to keep Rotherham out. This win for Norwich is big because everyone else in the top 6, apart from Watford, managed to lose this weekend. So it's a really big week and victory in terms of Norwich's part. Following this defeat for Rotherham, they find themselves in the relegation zone. But they do have a game in hand with the other teams in that position, which could be vital for them. And I dare say with Rotherham, they had a spirited performance, but it just wasn't enough clinical instinct going forward. If they had a bit more of it, then I think Rotherham could have had a bit of a chance. And then the revival of Nottingham Forest continues with a 1-0 victory. Another dramatic game, and following this with Blackburn, it is their 4th straight defeat. Blackburn are really losing with their run of form now. The only goal came from Alex Mighton, and what a goal it was. It was from Anthony Knockaert, who was creating all sorts of mayhem. It was definitely as a creative outlet Forest's best player. The ball was whipped in by Knockaert. It found Mighton, and his strike was so confident. It took a bit of a deflection past Kaminsky that made it 1-0 to Forest. Garner hit the bar. Cyrus Christie in the second half hit the post, and Noel Taylor misses the easiest rebound he could have ever scored as well. Anthony Knockaert also had an effort cleared off the line by Ryan Niamb. But Blackburn did have their chances as well. Adam Armstrong hit the post in the first half, and they won a penalty. But Adam Armstrong stepped up, and it was Brice Samba who made the save. Honestly, I predicted Forest 1, Blackburn 1. I was a penalty save away from getting the correct score. So frustrating. But Nottingham Forest, for me, definitely deserved to win in this game. I don't know what's going on with Blackburn right now. With the squad they have, they should be playing a lot more better than this. And it's concerning me with the lack of goals that they've been scoring in recent games as well. With Nottingham Forest, they're improving steadily. They're 17th place in the Championship table right now. If they can continue their great run of form, then I think Nottingham Forest can definitely finish in a reasonable position. And then Queen's Park Rangers continue their revival with Mark Warburton with 6 wins from 7 with a 2-1 victory over Bournemouth. Can any team stop Queen's Park Rangers? Watford, Brentford, and now Bournemouth they've beaten. What looks like to be a tough set of fixtures that could have confirmed them being a relegation threatened teams. They've completely rewritten the script and did the Uno reverse card for it, because they've beaten all 3 of these teams. And I tell you what, they were quite lucky at times, because Bournemouth got into some fantastic positions, especially some one-on-one positions. But Dieng in goal was absolutely brilliant. Philip Binning should have done better. He was one-on-one with Dieng, following Jack Wilshere managing to find some space. And then Queen's Park Rangers started to threaten. Johan Barbie managed to hit the bar, and eventually it was Queen's Park Rangers that did take the lead. It was poor from Chris Methven, who had a very awful pass nicked off from Jefferson Lerma from Stefan Johansson, who managed to score his first goal since joining Queen's Park Rangers for Fulham. That made it 1-0 to Queen's Park Rangers. However, Bournemouth do respond quite well though. They do manage to get an equaliser. It was Lewis Cook that looped the ball into the box. Sam Sturridge managing to head it across the box, finding Shane Long, who I thought was a continuous threat throughout that game. And I thought it really could have been anyone's game. But it was Queen's Park Rangers, who've been the better team in form recently, that managed to get the win. And it was Todd Kane. Albert Odoma does incredibly well on that left-hand side, driving forward, finding Todd Kane, that manages to have a very instinctual effort to score past Begovic. That made it 2-1. And just from Queen's Park Rangers thinking that they were going to be a team suffering relegation, they are now 1 point off the top half of the table. It just goes to show how quickly one period of games can change a season for a club, for the positive, but also for the negative as well. For Bournemouth, it's their first defeat under Jonathan Woodgate, and they've confirmed recently that Jonathan Woodgate will stay in charge till the end of the season. A very, very negative reaction from Bournemouth fans on social media in general. It'll be intriguing to see if Bournemouth can keep up with their top 6 campaign following that Cardiff have now closed the gap on them, and with Middlesbrough and Stoke winning this weekend, Bournemouth are going to have to be very, very careful with their top 6 places. But speaking of another team where their top 6 places is in jeopardy, we go to Reading, who lose at home again. 3 consecutive home defeats for Reading. They lose out at home, this time against a Middlesbrough side who have won for the first time in 5 games against Huddersfield midweek. They continue that with a 2-0 victory in this game. Now, Reading for me started the better of the sides, at least looked very, very dangerous actually. But it was Middlesbrough that managed to soak up the pressure, defend well, and they got the goal. It was Ashley Fletcher that managed to get the goal as well. He's got to thank Dale Fry for supplying the ball to him. That made it 1-0 to Middlesbrough. And for their second, what an unbelievable strike this was by Mark Bowler. I'm going to have a tough time picking my goal for weekend between Dwayne Holmes' goal and Mark Bowler's goal. And what I did say about Middlesbrough, I definitely said in my predictions video, if they get a goal early, they can definitely dictate the game. And when they did take the lead, that's exactly what they did. Reading really struggled to get a sniff of an opportunity to get past Bettinelli and that Middlesbrough defence. Only in the final 15 minutes did Reading look somewhat threatening, looking like they could get something from this game. Ejaria was kept quiet until the final 15 minutes where him and Morrison forced a save out of Bettinelli. But apart from that, Middlesbrough were fantastic. Following this win for Middlesbrough, back-to-back wins now for Middlesbrough. They're now climbing back in contention to being in the top 6 places. They're now currently 8th place right now. I think Bournemouth and Reading are 2 sides that definitely need to be a bit careful in terms of their run of form, because I think those 2 are the more likely sides that could drop out of the top 6 if they don't improve soon. And then to our relegation 6-pointer, we find Birmingham managing to pick up their first victory in over 10 matches. I could not write this stuff, especially with Sheffield Wednesday. 5 wins in a row at home, and now they lose to Birmingham. I mean, I could not write this. I mean, I think what definitely helped them was the fact that Sheffield Wednesday were put down to 10 men, with Shaw getting 2 yellow cards on retrospective challenges on Sanchez and COLLAB. Both were very, very silly challenges in my opinion. And for me, it was pretty even. I think even Sheffield Wednesday slightly edged it before they did go down to 10 men as well. But it was until Scott Hogan managed to score, and it was a brilliant bit of quality by Bella in that left-hand side of the pitch. He shoots a very dangerous delivery, and Hogan getting the slightest of touches, a typical striker's goal, forces the ball into the net, and that made it 1-0 to Birmingham. But how it didn't end 1-1, I wouldn't know, because Jordan Rose has an unbelievable chance in the final minute of the game, but Neil Etheridge manages to keep the ball out. I'm still wondering to this day how he made that save. I'll go as far to say probably the save of the season, and could well be the save that saves Birmingham from relegation. It really could be as important as that. As with Sheffield Wednesday, bit of a blow for them really. If they had won this game, they could have really damned Birmingham and really put them in a favourable position. But following this, especially with it being a home defeat as well, they've got to go back to square one and fix their problems. And then the final result, we go to the Bet365 Stadium, where we saw Stoke picking up a 3-0 victory over Luton Town. Now for me, I think the scoreline was a bit complimentary to Stoke, because 2 of their goals came from defensive errors. The first one came from Sonny Bradley, where I don't know what he was doing. Stephen Fletcher managed to nick the ball off him, very unselfishly of him. He gave it to Nick Powell, who managed to score, and that made it 1-0. The second goal didn't come from a defensive error though, but it was a very poor bit of marking from James Bree. But it was Nick Powell once again that managed to score the second. That made it 2-0 to Nick Powell. His 5th goal in 7 games actually. So Nick Powell's doing fantastic in terms of form right now. And then Stephen Fletcher finished the scoring off, where it was a poor back pass by Martin Craney. Fletcher wins it back, 1-on-1 with Sluga. That made it 3-0. And Luton were just all over the place. And Luton are a very peculiar side. Luton, a side that I didn't really associate would be troubled with relegation, but I did say this with Bristol City. If they continue not to win games, then I think Luton will be dragged into this, because I believe now it is back-to-back defeats for Luton, so they definitely need to pick up their form. As for Stoke, this increases their chances of getting into the top 6. They're 9th place at the moment, within only a matter of points away from Bournemouth, only 3 points away from Bournemouth. Could push for top 6, and I'm really intrigued to see if they can do that following the increased confidence in that Stoke City squad now. They've definitely improved a lot recently following their 10-game winless streak. But that wraps it up for today's review. So this is what the championship table looks like after match day 31. So in the top, we've got Norwich, 7 points clear of 2nd place Brentford, and Brentford stay 2nd only narrowly. Watford now join on points with them, with Swansea 4th, but with 2 games in hand though. Reading and Bournemouth make out the rest of the top 6. You've got Cardiff, Middlesbrough, Stoke, Barnsley, Millwall and Blackburn being the teams somewhat challenging for the top 6. Then you've got Queen's Park Rangers, Preston, Bristol City and Luton, the top sides in the bottom half of the table. Then you've got Nottingham Forest, Huddersfield, Derby, Coventry and Birmingham fighting relegation, and the teams in the relegation zone are Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday and Wycombe. So before I move on with my midweek predictions, I'll go through my goal of the weekend, player of the weekend and result of the weekend. Goal of the weekend, so tricky. Mark Bowler or Dwayne Holmes? I want you guys to comment down below, which one would you pick? I'm going to pick Dwayne Holmes. I just think the trajectory of his delivery was slightly better than Mark Bowler's, but it was really tight. I'm going to give my goal for weekend to Dwayne Holmes. Result of the weekend, without a doubt, is going to go into that game. Huddersfield 4, Swansea 1, a result that completely took me out of the blue. That's my result of the weekend. Player of the weekend was difficult, but I've compromised, and I have to recognise Dillian Phillips' effort for saving 2 penalties in 1 minute, keeping a clean sheet as well. My player of the weekend goes to Dillian Phillips. But now for the second part of the video, it is now my midweek predictions. Hopefully I can get more than bloody 0 predictions. So one secret I want to tell you guys when I'm making these predictions, I've only noticed this now. We've only had 2 championship draws in the last 3 weeks of championship games. If I could do the maths on it, that's like a 1 in 18th chance of that happening. So definitely we're not seeing too many draws right now, but we've got Birmingham and Norwich. I think Norwich will edge this one 1-0. Derby and Huddersfield. I actually see Derby bouncing back in this one. Middlesbrough and Bristol City. I think Middlesbrough will push on to try and be in that top 6. Bristol City are going to need more time to fix themselves. I'm going to say 2-0 Middlesbrough. Luton, Millwall. I don't see many goals in this one. I'm going to say a 0-0 draw for this one. Could be wrong. Rotherham, Nottingham Forest. But I'm going to narrowly edge Nottingham Forest with a 2-1 victory. They are steadily improving. Wycombe and Reading. I'm going to go for 2-1 Reading. Wednesday's games, we've got Barnsley and Stoke. I'm going to say Barnsley will get the win in this one. I'm going to say 2-0 Barnsley. Brentford, Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going for a shock. I'm getting very similar vibes of when Bournemouth played Sheffield Wednesday and they were low in confidence. I expected Bournemouth to get a win, but Sheffield Wednesday turned up and got a 2-1 away victory. I tell you what, if I get this one right, then you guys deserve to give me a pat on the back for that one. Swansea and Coventry, I don't see many goals, but I think Swansea will edge it. 1-0 for me. Bournemouth and Cardiff, it is 6th versus 7th. And if Cardiff win, they'll get in the top 6. And you know what? I think they'll do it. I'm going to say 2-1 Cardiff, actually. Blackburn and Watford. I'm going to say 1-0 Watford. Finally, Preston, Queen's Park Rangers. I cannot give anything else but a Queen's Park Rangers win for how good Queen's Park Rangers have been lately. I'm going to say a 2-0 away victory to Queen's Park Rangers. But that wraps it up for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really, really make my day. And if we can, please share my channel as well. All that would really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, take care, everyone.